Hi, this is an English update for Sunday, January 16th. Haven't done an update since the end of September. Um, and that was the end of my chemo. So I did only do 4 rounds. We did find that it is still present, but we're monitoring. Doing another round of chemo, research showed wasn't beneficial. So we didn't do that. So now we are monitoring. So I do have just a bit of leukemia left in the bone marrow when they do the biopsies. My last biopsy was December 2nd. And that was my 4th biopsy total. I will have another one early February and early April. So we're doing them every 2 months to monitor. So we have what's called measurable residual disease. It's a very small amount, and it's measured in a very weird way. It's called log reduction. It's a very complicated math, but any number larger than 3 is good. And mine was 4.6, and then this last one was 4.8, so it's heading in the right direction. So it could get to where they can't detect it at all. And that's what they were hoping, that I would have 0. I would be measurable residual disease, or MRD negative, meaning they couldn't find any. But they have found a little bit. So we're still monitoring. And what that does is allows us to catch a relapse early. So if that number starts to rise, then we know a relapse is coming. And I'm just putting the hammers on. A relapse is coming, and we would plan for a transplant at that point. But otherwise, we won't plan for a transplant. So patients in my situation with a favorable prognosis have only about a 25% chance of relapse, so 75% chance that won't relapse or anything. So we're just going to monitor, and that's within the first year. So we're just going to monitor it and see. So after that last chemo in September, October, I was in the hospital having some pain, and ended up having a CT, and we actually found a couple little spots in my lungs, which we thought were fungal infection, which is very common for patients like myself. And so they did a bronchoscopy, and on initial scan, initial look at it, they didn't see anything. But when they sent it off to grow, it actually grew tuberculosis. So I had a very minimal case of tuberculosis. And what happens with tuberculosis is when you first get it, if you're healthy, your body is usually in your lungs, and your body will wall it off, and it'll just sit there, and it will not bother you. It would show up if you had a skin test, but you wouldn't know otherwise unless your immune system gets compromised by like leukemia and chemo. But I still didn't have any symptoms, so it actually hasn't really caused me a lot of difficulty. You have to take a lot of antibiotics for TB for 6 months. So I've done 2 months of those, and I'll be done the early May with that. So and then my immune system has been recovering slowly. It's still sluggish. And they're looking into why. They're not particularly concerned. It can be a slow recovery after so much chemo and all of that. So they're not concerned, but they just did some more blood work to look at iron and thyroid and everything, mineral, make sure that there's nothing they can do to help boost it. But with that, and with COVID the way it is right now, they don't want me going back until viral season is over. So sometime in the spring. So we've had some generous supporters, and so financially we're okay, and we're able to do that. So I'll be home probably until April. Like I said, I'll have a bone marrow biopsy early February, so coming up in the next few weeks. And then again early April, and so I want to be able to see if those numbers are staying low or even gone to negative. So that would be good. And that's it. So it's a little bit unusual, but there we go. So everyone's been supportive. We had a great holiday season. Crystal's parents were able to come for Christmas and Maisie's birthday. Maisie got a lot of stuff, even though we're trying to keep things minimal because she's just 2, but she's had a great time. My hair's coming in, growing in. It's at the, I really can't do anything with it stage. And that's it. So blood levels are critical in US and Canada, I'm sure around the world. So please donate if you're able. And thank you all. Have a happy new year.